First, we meet a woman who made headlines 14 years ago when she announced in a very public way that she was HIV positive.
I ask the Republican Party to lift the shroud of silence which has been draped over the issue of HIV and AIDS.
Delegates at the 1992 Republican National Convention, along with millions of television viewers, were shocked and moved when Mary Fisher took the podium and told the world she had AIDS.
But I believe that in all things there is a purpose, and I stand before you and before the nation gladly.
At the time, Mary had 2 young sons and a husband also dying of the disease. She was from a prominent Republican family who backed her decision to go public in the midst of an election year.
Because I used them to set the stage for me that I had worked for the president, and my father was one of the finance chairmen for Bush. And so I kind of, with their agreement and their blessing actually, did this. So I think it does help. I don't think it helps in the personal realm because all of a sudden there you are and everybody knows, and so you don't really have time to build relationships because people in those days would kind of stay away.
Mary was instantly cast as the new face of AIDS, one that wasn't African American or gay, but was white and female. And despite the new stigma, she reached out to others who were afraid to come forward.
You are HIV positive, but dare not say it. You have lost loved ones, but you dared not whisper the word AIDS.
Then it became an understanding of mine that there weren't women out there talking about this, and that it was mainly people believed and perceived it as a men's disease. And so I understood that it was important, and I must have been at the right place at the right time to do this, and somehow it became much larger than I ever expected it to be.
For the past 2 decades, Mary's quest has stayed the same: to enlighten, educate, and fight the plague that she says is still totally misunderstood in America.
The perception of HIV now and AIDS now is that it's over. That's what I feel when I travel around this country. And that's because we did a disservice when the medicines were brought forth. We and the media and the White House and everybody did a disservice to the people living with AIDS, because not everybody can take the medication, not everybody has access to the medication, and that's another whole subject. But people then began to believe it was over.
Before testing positive for HIV, Mary was an artist, and that passion thrives today in her West Palm Beach studio. She has used her creativity, writing, and fundraising capabilities to start a nonprofit organization called CARE. It funds research and AIDS outreach both here and in Africa, a place Mary says she has a special connection to ever since her very first visit years ago.
I went to meet doctors that were working and people that living with AIDS and families and orphans, and what I saw was devastating, and it tears you apart because it's just something that you can't believe unless you see it yourself. You can hear what I say, but when you see children, just children running around, and they have no home because their parents are both dead, and the family or the community can't take them in, they're living on the street, they're living in trees, you want to go, oh my goodness. And then you have people that are volunteers that try and take them and help them.
Mary makes regular trips to Africa, where she has forged a lifelong bond with mothers who are facing the same battle with AIDS that she faces every day.
It affected me because I have AIDS, so it affected me as if that was my family. I spent time with the women, we hugged, we kissed, we laughed. It was wonderful, the mothers, and I had small children, so I'm like, I'm the same as they are. And that's what became my message. And I realized that in Africa, I can do more with little than I can here.
But this artist also helps in the AIDS battle on the home front. Here in Palm Beach County, speaking to groups like this one in Delray Beach.
10 years ago was 1996. Here I was, a relatively well-known Republican in Bill Clinton's hometown, during a very spirited presidential campaign. Now, the room was packed with social workers, people with AIDS, religious leaders, a few politicians, and journalists. In other words, the room was packed with Democrats.
She believes that information is power and wants our children to get more of it, even if the subject is a touchy one.
But I don't think that the school boards and schools and churches want to even talk about condoms or talk about how to protect themselves. All they want to say is don't have sex. They don't give them all the tools to let them know that that they can, on a one-time sexual encounter, they can contract this disease or other STDs. I don't know why we don't want to talk about that.
Mary says the drugs have kept her alive longer than she ever expected, but it is her art that really inspires and awakens her.
I'm grateful because I think that my creativity is what really feeds my soul. And then I'm going to Africa and I'm going to be teaching women there to do art.
By teaching women about art and AIDS, Mary hopes to empower them to take control of their own health and lives. And she believes that the disease she once saw as a death sentence is one no longer.
Oh, I feel I'm totally blessed. I feel that in AIDS, I have a blessing to have the ability to give back, but the ability to connect with so many people. I've met so many incredible people. And yes, I believe in that. There's a part of my soul that believes that this was what I'm supposed to be doing.
You should just do what you do best and make a difference where you are.
She is an incredible woman, and since we did that story with Mary just a few weeks ago, she has accepted the appointment as special representative for the Joint United Nations program on HIV and AIDS. She will travel the world raising awareness on HIV prevention, treatment, and care, with a special emphasis on women and children.